Good morning, good evening, my global audience. Today is the momentous day when which you all know that we have been waiting for this day for a long time. And no one is better than Karel Bolckmans, the president of IBMA, to talk about what happened yesterday in the EU. Before I go into asking a few things to Karel and how he's feeling, I want to give a little introduction about Karel. If you don't know, most of you know. Karel is, in one sentence, is the most passionate, sincere, sustainable farming champion. And he has done that all his life. He has done that through BioBest and Copper and now BioFirst. And this time, when we are trying to transform few things, it was important to have a leader like Karel who can go a little bit out of the comfort zone, get people out of the comfort zone and get things done. So welcome, Karel. Thanks for your time for this podcast, which I think is very important from the IBMA point of view, because you folks have worked very hard for this over the years. And you know that you and I have discussed that for many years. Our farmers in EU have struggled to access really the sustainable crop solutions when we are not allowing some of the chemical packages or crops solutions. They have a clear gulf or gap. How do they manage their crop? First of all, how do you feel about the challenge we were facing or we are still facing before we jump into the first step of hopefully a long-term solution?
Thank you, Roger. Well, I think this is really a moment of celebration. We started with IBMA 30 years ago, and our goal from the beginning was to advocate a more proportionate regulatory environment for biologicals in Europe and the rest of the world. And as most of you know, in Europe, it takes, until now, between 7 to 10 years to get a new biological control product through the regulatory process in Europe, which is crazy. In the rest of the world, it takes 3 to 4 years. And in Brazil, it takes between 1 and 2 years. And the result of this is that European farmers really lag behind in the access to sustainable solutions, crop protection solutions, while at the same time, at a very high speed, a lot of chemical pesticides are taken off the market through the renewal process, the reauthorization process. Every 10 years in Europe, a chemical pesticide needs to be reevaluated. And so that process went so fast, let's say the phasing out of pesticides went so fast, while the access to biological control solutions went so slow that European farmers have more and more problems to control the pests and diseases on their crops. And therefore, this could ultimately create also a food security problem in Europe. So this proposal from the Commission, from the European Commission, doesn't come too early. We should have had it already a few years ago, because farmers are really running out of tools. At the same time, the effect of the current regulation is also that innovation in the area of biocontrol in Europe has been stifled. We see European biocontrol companies investing outside of Europe. European biocontrol startups first to export outside of Europe, and so on. And so, and biocontrol flourishing outside of Europe, not in Europe. And so the proposal from the Commission hopefully will turn this around. It's still a proposal. It still needs to get through the regulatory process, which means that in Europe it needs to be accepted by both the European Parliament as well as the Council of European Ministers of Agriculture, Agrifish. But at least this is a very important first step towards ultimately a different regulatory environment in Europe. And I hope in a few years' time, if and when this proposal gets through the European regulatory process, that we can look back at the 16th of December of 2025 as a historic day. That's what I really hope, because the proposal is historic. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's a very big step, forwards.
I'm very glad that you mentioned the challenges, because sometimes people underestimate the challenges the European farmers are facing. And you're talking about the phasing out of some of the chemical products or whatever other solutions, but also the resistance. And then on top of that, it doesn't really help, because the same chemicals are allowed in the nearby countries who are supplying the produce to Europe. So how is it helping? How is it helping our farmers? That's why we need to have our alternate solutions. Now, you mentioned about this historic day and this declaration. How do you describe it in, say, bullet points to our audience? What are the main elements of this? Why it is going to be a historic or transformative day?
So the proposal of the European Commission is part of a larger simplification package, and the whole document is 101 pages. It's a large document, and it deals with 10 different European regulations in different areas related to food and feed. And so the proposal comes from the Commissioner Varela, who is responsible for health. And one of the regulations that the simplification package, as it is called, deals with is EC 1107/2009, which is the European regulation that regulates plant protection, the plant protection products. So let's zoom in there. The Commission acknowledges already on the first page of the document, the Commission already acknowledges, guys, we have a problem. The current process takes too long. We're getting into problems. We need to change. And that's already on the first page, very clearly defined. We need to do something if we want farmers to be able to continue to control their pests and diseases. And at the same time, we want to change agriculture, and especially crop protection, to be more sustainable. Then we need to take action. And then the Commission continues to explain, and I think this is the heart of the problem at the moment. The slow regulatory process is mostly, not only, but mostly the main cause or the main reason is a lack of resources and competency, skill at the level of the European Food Safety Agency and the EFSA, as well at the level of the member states. We have people there which know a lot about chemical pesticides. When you give them a biological dossier, a dossier for a biological product, very often they struggle. And when they don't understand, they ask more questions, and before you know, you're 10 years down the road. So it's a resource and a competency and a skills issue. Now, to deal with that, the Commission makes 3 large groups of proposals. First of all, it says that we should reinforce EFSA. We should add extra resources to EFSA, make EFSA more strong, more hands, more brains, and more skills. Secondly, the Commission says, for those countries, we have 27 member states in Europe, bigger member states, smaller member states. For those member states who don't have sufficient resources, our skills, our competency, expertise, is a better word, expertise with regards to the evaluation of a registration application for a biological product, you can ask for the help of EFSA. EFSA will support you. And then the third part is 5 different changes, proposals that allow to use the existing resources more efficiently and more effectively. And the first one is, and that's probably the one with the biggest effect. In Europe, as I said before, a crop protection product has to be re-evaluated every 10 years. This takes huge amount of resources from the member states and from EFSA. And so we proposed to the Commission that why don't we stop with the 10-year evaluation of biological control products? I mean, they should be safe. It should not be necessary to evaluate them every 10 years. And the Commission liked that idea so much that they said, you know what, let's do that for all crop protection products. So the 10-year renewal will, okay, of course, for the products that are now in the process of the 10-year reevaluation, they will continue, they will finish that. But after that, no more automatic 10-year renewal process, unless there are new, and Article 18 and 21, if I remember, foresee that if there is new information about the chemical pesticide, because this for both biological products as well as for chemical products, if there is new scientific information that there is a potential risk with a crop protection product, automatically it triggers a re-evaluation anyway. Okay, so it's not that the Commission completely deregulates and the floodgates are open for pesticides. It's not the case. If there's new information, automatically it triggers a re-evaluation. So that's a very big one that will free up a lot of resources that can now be used to focus on the evaluation of the registration dossier for biologicals. The second is a priority lane. Biological products will be prioritized. They will get priority to be evaluated. The third is mutual recognition. Today, 27 member states, and we have this two-step process in Europe. The active ingredient is evaluated at the level of EFSA, at the European level, and the formulated product has to be authorized at the member state level. 27 member states, many of them tend to do their own evaluation, which takes a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of resources. Mutual recognition means that one or two or three countries look at the dossier, evaluate it, and if they deem the product to be safe for health, human health, and for the environment, if they say, okay, this product is, we allow it, we will take it to the market, that then other countries, based on mutual recognition, accept the evaluation of those countries. And the proposal of the Commission says that if other countries don't do that within 120 days, automatically there is mutual recognition. The product will be allowed. Okay? Unless they say we want to evaluate it ourselves within 120 days. The next one is provisional authorization. So even before the full evaluation is done, already a provisional authorization can be given, which also saves a lot of time. And then the next one, the fifth one, is a single zone for biologicals. Today, Europe is divided in 3 different climate zones, and you have to do your trials in each of these 3 zones. The Commission proposes that for biologicals, not for chemicals, we have only a single zone. Europe becomes one single zone when evaluating biologicals. That's in a summary, these 5 things. And so mutual recognition, unlimited approval for plant protection products, provisional authorization for biopesticides, a single zone for biopesticides, and a priority for biopesticides. These are the 5 ways in which the Commission proposes that the existing resources can be used in a more efficient and effective way to evaluate biological control products. And then there are some additional things that a number of additional things that the Commission proposes.
Karel, I really want to, first of all, thank you. And I'm sure the audience is feeling the same way. You have further simplified the simplification document in a very tangible manner. I think even someone who doesn't understand the regulation will understand these 5 points. It's a no-brainer. So thanks for making it really simple and easy for people to understand. You said if and when it is approved, it will help us. Why did you say if? And what can we do as industry to avoid that if it is approved by those 2 bodies? Because we really don't want to go backwards. This is fantastic progress. And I think everything you just said and everything in that document is a common sense thing. So why you still say if and when?
If and when, well, all the stakeholders have a responsibility, including we as an industry, we as companies. If and when you provide a good quality, the speed of the registration process also depends on the quality of the registration application dossier that you submit. So also we have responsibility. If you submit a poor quality dossier, you shouldn't be surprised that you get additional questions from the authorities, and that the whole process will take longer. So also we have our own responsibility.
Exactly. On the other side, as you said, it's a proposal. it has to be approved by the two bodies, as you talked about,
Mhm.
and it will take 1 year to 2 years, as you said. Are you feeling that any kind of opposition or reluctance or some interest groups trying to slow the process down for this particular approval?
Well, the proposal also includes, or certain parts of the proposal also have an effect on chemical pesticides. And these proposals are deemed quite controversial by the NGOs. As you might have noticed already in the press, there's a lot of communication around it. The NGOs talk about the deregulation of chemical pesticides. They say that the Commission is using biologicals as a Trojan horse or as a means to deregulate pesticides. That's what they say. But let me just explain the facts. What it's all about is, one, that there will be no renewal process every 10 years, as I explained, which is also for chemical pesticides. Let's not forget that the proposal from the Commission still says if there is information, when we stop with the 10-year evaluation, and if there is new information about the chemical pesticide or about the biological, for both, that it is not as safe as we thought during the first evaluation, it still automatically triggers or immediately triggers a re-evaluation process. It's not every 10 years anymore, but it's based on risk, based on scientific information. And so it's not completely the floodgates are open and etc. That's not the case. And the second controversial part is that the grace, when a product is taken off the market, and because it's not deemed safe anymore, there is now a grace period. First, half a year that it can be continued to be sold, and then 1.5 years for growers and distributors to use to use all the stock they have, and this will be doubled for the sales part to 1 year, from a half year to 1 year, for using up all the stock from 1.5 years to 3 years. And so these two things are quite controversial for the NGOs. Okay, I think as IBMA, it's not up to us to have an opinion about that. We focus on biologicals. We are not an activist association. We are in the business of promoting biologicals. If we do activism, our way of doing activism is by developing new solutions, alternative solutions, and we believe that is the way forward towards a more sustainable agriculture. So, but there is a danger that this could derail. There is a process. This will lead to a lot of discussion, I'm quite sure, in the European Parliament. We should not. This will certainly happen, yes. And this will influence. We believe that this will also influence how long it will take for the Parliament to analyze the proposal from the Commission and to agree on it. From the farmer side, we have wide support from the farmer community, from both Copa Cogeca and ELO, the European Landowners Organization.
First of all, feel welcome that BioAg World Digest and our group is Global BioAg Alliance is there to support any communication, any training, any kind of this bringing the synergy with all the NGOs and all the stakeholders. We are always there. Do you have any plans from IBMA to bring everyone to the table instead of trying to derail this with the hyper emotional media statements?
Well, we have a good contact with them. We are already speaking with them, the Pesticide Action Network, EB, IFOAM, and so on. And I have to say the dialogue is very constructive. What we try to do is to help everybody, in all the stakeholders involved, whether they are NGOs, farmer associations, and so on, to see the big picture. To see the big picture. Even with these proposals from the Commission with regards to pesticides, this is a major step forward. If you look at the big picture, if you step back a little bit and you look at the big scale of things, this is a major step forward for European agriculture. This is a very important step for the biocontrol industry. and this will definitely have an impact on making European agriculture more sustainable and securing European food security by allowing farmers to continue to control their pests and diseases.
I would like to add one. Sorry, you continue. Then I would like to add something to what you just said for our NGO friends.
No, please go ahead, Roger.
No, I just wanted to make an appeal to our NGO friends that if you sit down on the table and across the table, we analyze what percentage of the agriculture will be impacted by making it from 1.5 years to 3 years or 6 months to 1 year will be minimal if you start analyzing those numbers. And then you will say that, oh, in the big picture, it's really not worth it to derail such a big, historical moment in our European agriculture. And I think we can help you there also to do some studies and let them know that, guys, it's only 1% of the agriculture may be impacted. So let's not derail the 99% of the solution we are trying to get out of this. So
no, but we have a. Again, I will refrain from too many public statements here, but we have a constructive dialogue with them, and we explained that this is very delicate. We need to be careful that that we don't throw away the child with the bathwater. The worst that can happen when the whole thing gets derailed, as we say, is that the European Parliament and the Commission of European Ministers of Agriculture decided that they have enough about the discussion about the amendments and that they say, let's go for a new regulation. And we all know drawing up a new regulation and getting it through the Parliament, through the Council, etc., it takes ages. It can take up to a decade. So I think at this moment, the European Commission reaches out a hand after 30 years. Finally, they reach out their hand. Guys, let us help you. Let's make biologicals, facilitate the access to biologicals through some important amendments. Again, it's not perfect, but it's good and it will help a lot. Let's take that hand, let's celebrate and let's make it happen. And after that, we can still talk about new regulation, but this is the fastest way, the fastest way, the most pragmatic way towards progress.
I totally agree with you. And again, as you said, it's a delicate subject. I did hear some or watched in LinkedIn as well, another group or two, they are trying to talk about bring the new regulation and new law in the EU. And I wanted to ask you this question. First of all, this is my statement, and I take full responsibility that everyone should be united in whatever we talk to the European Commission or the authorities, instead of taking different variable elements to the government from different forums. Second thing is, no one in IBMA or whatever I have heard being part of the IBMA has ever said that we don't want the new regulation. So I wanted you to little bit give the assurance to everyone that you and I and the IBMA, everyone is fully supporting the new regulation when the time is right. But at the same time, we do need this simplification process immediately because we are bleeding. And when we are bleeding, we have to first stop the bleeding, and then we think about the new surgery. So any comments on that?
Yes, yeah. Yes, sure. As IBMA, we've always said that ultimately we need a new regulation. Definitely, but now there is also a potential solution here for the shorter term through amending 1107, and we should take that opportunity. And after that, we'll talk again about new regulation. But I think at this moment in time, it is not wise. If you're involved in public advocacy, it is not wise to start lobbying for new regulation. This is not a smart thing to do. Let's focus on getting these amendments to 1107 through the Parliament and through the Council. Let's get that first done. And that is the best way, the smartest way. If you really want to help European farmers at this moment in time, that is what we should do. If you really are in the business of helping European industry, the biocontrol industry, that is what we should do. And let's talk about the new regulation, once the amendments are accepted and in place.
Totally agree, Karel. Thank you so much. And this also helps the audience to understand that any kind of contradiction in the marketplace that IBMA is not focusing on the new law or new regulation. That's not true. The bottom line is,
Correct.
let us not distract or confuse at the moment. At the moment, let's focus on the simplification so we
Correct.
can get our farmers some relief at the with immediate effect. And then we all collectively as a team talk about the new regulation instead of trying to create silos and different camps. So on that note, Karel, first of all, thank you so much for this particular podcast.
I wanted to, if you allow me, Roger, I said a number of times, it's not perfect but good enough, and I would like to explain what I mean with that, because there's two things in the proposal that we struggle with a little bit, and I think it's important for the audience to understand that as well. The first is the proposal of the Commission does not talk about, there is no target, no clear target of how long the registration process in Europe should take or will take once in place. It's open-ended, right? As I said, now it's between 7 and 10 years. There is no concrete target there. And I think we should have a target. And it should be at least as good as the rest of the world. And as Europe, we should be ambitious to do even better, right? So most countries, 3 to 4 years, we should aim for 2 to 3 years. And as an industry, I think we should really be very clear about it. And we have not been clear enough about that, but we need to be very clear about that to the European Parliament and the the Council of European Ministries. That's a very important part. Otherwise, we have not gained anything, right? The second is the definition. The definition talks about, of course, natural organisms, viruses, bacteria, fungi, and so on, and natural products. So products produced by natural organisms can be peptides, can be RNAi, can be plant extracts, can be metabolites, etc. And it says they need to be structurally similar and functionally identical to naturally occurring compounds, molecules, so to speak. And this is a very tricky issue. If we talk about peptides, RNAi, fine, we have a definition, a proposal from IBMA that gives some room for innovation. Sometimes at the tail end and the head end of a peptide, you need to make some small modifications to make it more stable, to get some shelf life. But peptides and RNAi, they break down easily in nature, and so some room for innovation should be possible there. When we talk about metabolites, it's a whole different story, right? If we take the definition literally, structurally similar, functionally identical, it means that tomorrow all strobilurins, all avermectins, all spinosins, that are derivatives, modified natural compounds, and God forbid also pyrethroids and pyrethrin or neonicotinoids, nicotine, will be considered biologicals.
Correct.
I don't think that's a good idea. What does the term biocontrol then still mean? Right? It's an inflation or a devaluation of the term biocontrol. And so this is a very, very critical point. And we've explained that a number of times to the Commission, but this is for us also a very important point. We don't want the term biological control to be devaluated by a definition that is too open. And so it's the devil is in the details, is in the nuance. Yes, peptides and RNAi, things that break easily down in nature, yes. When we talk about a metabolite, a biochemical molecule, it's a whole different story.
And also, just to add to your point that overall, when we talk about innovation, we cannot make it very restrictive and leave room for interpretation. That will, yes, again, instead of taking less time, it will leave confusion there, and yes, we might get delayed. So I fully agree with both these points. And I also welcome, I know IBMA is planning to start some education program for all the stakeholders on these issues, and we will fully support that as well. And I think it's a very important point that what you are doing from the IBMA presidency and IBMA and overall the industry point of view is trying to bring everyone to the table synergize our goals and aims and goals, and try to be talking or singing from the same hymn book. So once again, I want to thank you, and we are all the way with you in supporting this education program or creating some momentum around this initiative. Thank you so much, Karl.
Thank you,
Sure
Roger. Thank you. And if I may, it is now, first of all, it is a moment of celebration. I think this is a very nice um, Christmas present for all of us, for European agriculture and for the biocontrol industry. I think we have reason to cautiously celebrate. I always say to my colleagues of the board and the council, it ain't over until it's over. We're not there yet, but it's a very, very, very important step. So let's celebrate. That's the first thing I would like to say. And the second thing I would like to say is, let's be united. It is more important than ever that we stay united as an industry, that companies who are not yet, and if you allow me a little bit of publicity, but it's more than publicity, that companies are not a member yet of IBMA, but that believe that this is important for their company, that you join IBMA. The more companies we can represent, the more weight we can have in our discussions with the European Commission, with the European Parliament, and with the Council of European Ministers of Agriculture. So if you're not part of IBMA yet, please join. And if you're a small startup company, it costs only a few hundred euros. So that should not be a problem. But it is now the time to be united, and 2026 will be a very, very, very important year, one of the most important years in the history of biological control, I believe. Thank you.
Karl, I must add one thing, because you mentioned about publicity. It's not a publicity. Now I'm talking as more industry person and professional and from media. Across the globe, working for 35, 40 years, I have worked with a lot of associations, and I must say that IBMA is one of the best, if not the best, industry association with regards to the contributions you are making. And the other thing is, even though it's for the European continent, but you are taking care of the international interest as well. So I fully support that. And anyone who is not member, I think if you want a European and global perspective in one association, IBMA is the place to be. And then don't forget, then in October last week, we always have third week, we have ABIM, which is organized by IBMA, is another place where they should be always coming. The whole industry comes there, and you can see for yourself what IBMA is putting together. So thank you for mentioning that, Karl. And we will talk soon again. Thank you so much.
We will. Thank you, Roger, and Merry Christmas. And happy New Year. All the best for you and your family and your friends for a very interesting 2026. Let's go for it.
Absolutely. We are all together in this. Thank you
Cheers.
so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Roger.